Now, quadratic equations don't always come just like this. You know, x squared plus 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. They don't always look like that. Sometimes a quadratic equation will have no constant. Okay, so it'll have no constant. It won't have this 1, for example. So it might be like this. Solve the quadratic equation that looks like x squared plus 2x is equal to 0. And then what we do is, it's quite simple. We just factor out the x. So we will do x into x plus 2 is equal to 0. And then like before, that means that this bit here is equal to 0, or this bit here is equal to 0. So we have x equals 0, or x plus 2 is equal to 0, which means x equals minus 2. So we have two solutions for that particular quadratic equation. Let's do another couple of examples. So solve x squared plus 7x is equal to 0, and maybe another one over here, say 3x squared plus 10x is equal to 0. All right, we factor out the x into x plus 7 is equal to 0, and that means that x is equal to 0, which is this part here, that's equal to 0, or this part here is equal to 0, or x plus 7 is equal to 0, which means that x is equal to minus 7. So there's our two solutions to this equation. If I put 0 into this equation here, I get 0 squared plus 7 by zeros, that's equal to 0. If I put minus 7 in, it also works as well. Minus 7 to be squared is plus 49, plus 7 by minus 7 is equal to minus 49. You see? So let's do the second one over here. I can't factor out a 3 and a 10. There's no common denominator there. So I'll just stick with the x. I'll just take out an x into, well, x into 3x squared gives me 3x I need here, plus the 10. Because the x by the 10 gives me 10x, and the 3x by the x gives me 3x squared. And that's equal to, I forgot, equals 0. And that means x equals 0, or 3x plus 10 is equal to 0. So that's one solution. And to finish off this one here, 3x is equal to minus 10. X is equal to minus 10 divided by 3. What I'm doing on this here, by the way, what I'm doing here is to go from this position to this. I'm saying if 3x equals a particular number, well then x is equal to, you divide both sides by 3. So I divide 3x by 3, just gives me what x, and minus 10 divided by 3 is minus 10 divided by 3. Now, that's the first one done, when there's no constant, a quadratic equation with no constant. You remember the difference of two squares. They were the ones that looked like this, x squared minus 9, because that's equal to x squared minus 3 squared. Each of these are square numbers. That's a square number, and that's a square number. Okay, x squared and 3 squared are both squares. And that can be written as x plus 3 times x minus 3. By the way, I should say, in a quadratic equation, of course, it's its equation, so it has to be equal to 0. And now you recognize, you can say, well, obviously x equals minus 3, or x equals plus 3. And there's the solutions to those two. If you plug in 3 or minus 3 into this equation here, you're going to get 0. You get the right answer. Let's have a look at another couple of those. So solve x squared minus 16. Well, that's going to be x plus 4 by x minus 4. And I keep forgetting to write down to 0. So x equals plus 4, x equals minus 4. What about this one? Solve 4x squared minus 25 equals 0. What values will that solve? Oh, sorry. Now, so I'm going to go, that's equal to 2x to be squared minus 5 to be squared. So it's going to give me 2x minus 5 by 2x plus 5 is equal to 0. And that means that 2x minus 5 is equal to 0, or 2x plus 5 is equal to 0. And that means that 2x is equal to 5, and x is equal to 5 over 2. Sorry about running out of space here. Or 2x is equal to minus 5, and it means x is equal to minus 5 over 2. In the difference of two squares, you're going to find, in the difference of two squares, you're going to find that, there's your two solutions. You're going to find that these here, the 5 over 2 and the minus 5 over 2 will always be the same. If you go back to the previous one, you'll see you've got a minus 3 and a plus 3. In the difference of two squares, they'll always be the same. A couple of more special ones you need to keep your eye out for would be things like this. Solve, we'd say x squared minus 1. Well, that's going to be x plus 1, x minus 1. Yeah, I just cleaned it up a little bit. And that means x equals minus 1 and x equals plus 1 over here. All right. And let me see if there's anything else I can think of here. Of course, it can also be this. 9 minus 16x squared equals 0. Solve that. Well, that's equal to 3 minus 4x by 3 plus 4x is equal to 0. So that means 3 is equal to 4x. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll just do it step by step, just to make sure. 3 minus 4x is equal to 0. And that means 3 is equal to 4x. And that means that x is equal to, I'll do it up here, 3 divided by 4. And over here, I'll do it in red, that means 3 plus 4x is equal to 0. That means 4x is equal to minus 3. You notice I chose to subtract 3 from both sides here. Okay, I didn't decide to subtract 4x from both sides. I didn't want a minus 4x, so I chose it to be the minus 3. And then lastly, to finish this off, x equals minus 3 divided by 4. So there's my two answers. Okay, that's the solving the difference of two squares. Okay, here are a few questions for homework for you to practice, and I'll see you next time.